Hello, one and all. I'm Frank Salon, and welcome to our Future Beauty presentation hosted by Vital Plus. Today, we have an exceptional guest speaker, Tamara Reid. As we're approaching Christmas and the sun is setting down a little later, the days are getting a little warmer, and beauty therapists all across Australia, including Victoria, even our fellow therapists in Victoria will be able to perform full facials. I don't know about you, but there's a real sense of hope in the air. Hope that things are slowly getting back to normal. Australians are starting to have a real firm grip on this pandemic, and many of us may even reunite with our loved ones this Christmas. We may even, dare I say, plan a holiday. And it is in this sentiment of good fortune and from a land where we may dream again that I'm thrilled to introduce our guest speaker, Tamara Reid. Now, Tamara has been very active and present during the days when we struggled to know which foot to put forward. During those days, when we were frantically running around like chooks with no head, Tamara kept her cool. For many of us, she was like a compass, guiding us out of the storm with a cool, calm, and collected presence. She kept us on course with her social media posts, informing us of the latest news with educational updates and meetings, announcements, conversation, and just with her warm and friendly smile. If you're not familiar with Tamara, she's the founding director of Beauté Industries. In this competitive market, Beauté Industries allows you to be part of a community of like-minded skin professionals such as yourself, where progressive conversations are encouraged. That's the kind of environment we all need to be part of. Today, my friends, Tamara will share some of her research about the trends as we move into 2021. She will take us for a ride through the developing technologies that the future holds for us. She will tell us which topic of interest your clients are likely to seek your advice and how you can future-proof your beauty business with the skills and requirements it takes to create an exceptional service-based salon. Tamara, it's great to have you with us. Thank you for taking the time to be here. I know this is going to be a fascinating talk. By the way, did I pronounce Beauté Industries correctly? Yes.
Got it. Yes. Thank you so much for having me and for that warm welcome. That was so divine. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Beautiful. So I shall share my screen there with you all.
Sure. Thank you.
And please let me know if you can't hear me or can't see me.
Sure.
You know, in the world of virtual, it's always funny to be hosting keynote sessions over a computer, because when you generally do a presentation, you watch the audience. So I'm still watching your faces. So please let me know if you have any questions, thoughts, feelings, queries, or otherwise, and note them down in the chat box as well. And I'll get the chat box up here so that I can see if you do have any of those questions. But I'll run through the future beauty of 2021 and beyond and what we can expect. And then at the end, we'll have an opportunity for you to actually take mic and ask some of those questions that you've got on your mind, because no doubt you have many, which is always relevant and completely fine as well. So for those of you who don't know me, My name is Tamara Reid and I'm the founding director of Beauté Industry. And so Beauté Industry is an online community for the professional beauty and aesthetic industry. And a lot of people say, well, what is an online community and what do you do all day, every day? And so for me, it's about stamping out that negative competition that the industry really used to have. You know, we didn't want to talk to business owners because we were afraid that they were going to steal our clients or worse, steal our team members. And therapists didn't want to talk to each other as well because they didn't want to share their secrets. And I kind of thought that was a little bit wild, considering we are so heavily connection and culture based, and the fact that we are women. I just think there are so many hats that we wear that we should be communicating with each other to support each other. And so we moved that into an online presence. And as Frank said beautifully put, we were really able to hold conversation for our industry throughout this year, specifically 2020, which has been the wild ride that it's been, that we've all seen the pandemic go through. And for us, it was just about having that community and showing a newfound level of support by which business owners could come and express their concerns for their businesses or ask questions which they may have not and have previously had the answers to for their team. So we've been very fortunate to have the industry trust us during this time, because a lot of people say, who are you and what are you doing out there? So the trust has been most pivotal for us. And the fact that people actually want to have these conversations has been really important. And one of the conversations that keeps coming up, which is why I, you know, so happily said yes to do this session, was, well, what does the future look like? Because during these, overused word, unprecedented times, we've all gone, well, what does tomorrow look like, let alone the future, which has been really, really hard for us to navigate, because as business owners, generally we are and we should be planning and projecting what the future of our business looks like. However, when you've got business that's closed, when you've got income that you can't see coming in, when you've got a team who you can't connect with, you've got clients who you haven't spoken with in months, it can be really, really difficult to look at those trends and try and find the solace in running a business and still having a business that does move forward. So hopefully today, some of those questions are answered for you. And yeah, please do let me know if you've got any other questions at the end, and I'll make sure we stop there and get those answered for you. But I can talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles, so please do stop me at the right time should I run over. So I thought it'd be interesting to start at looking at what we currently know. So for me, and if you follow Beauté Industry or myself, you would have known that I am a huge stickler for pausing prior to, you know, again, trend word, pausing and reflecting, because we have been trading busy as currency, and we've all been running around on long blacks and dry shampoo with adrenaline, just running crazy. And, you know, as soon as we meet someone, and I know this to be true of myself prior to the pandemic, it's, how are you, Tamara? Oh my goodness, business is so busy. How are you? Oh, business is so busy. You know, and we really don't get much deeper than that. So I find our conversations to be a little bit surface. So I think it's really important that we do use this time to figure out what 2020 has shown us, so that we can actually use this information in helping us move forward. Because, hey, there is no point going through a whole pandemic, a global recession, without having some key takeaways and some learnings from it. Also, if you know me, you'll know that I have a very needy and pesky cat who's just walked into the room, and I can assure you she will probably jump up on this table one time or another, so you'll have to excuse me there. So what was 2020 previous to the pandemic? For our clients, the industry, and when I say beauty and aesthetic, it's beauty, day spa, aesthetic, wellness, non-surgical. It's everything that comes under this. So if I say beauty and you don't do traditional beauty stuff, I'm not excluding you. I'm just saying beauty because it's just an easier word to group our entire industry in. So prior to that, our clients kind of saw us as non-essential. When we would tell, if we were a client, for example, and we would tell someone, I'm going to get my eyebrows waxed, or I'm going to have a facial, or maybe I'm going to have a massage, it was seen as a luxury. It was seen as a treat, right? Rather than a treatment. And so, of course, when the pandemic hit, well, that's what the government saw us as well. You don't need a spray tan. You don't need to go get waxed. You don't need a facial. All of this is non-essential. However, I think that, and we'll get on to what we have proved in 2020, is that it's actually a necessity to have some of these treatments for our entire complete well-being and mindfulness. So we were perceived as traditional beauty. Even myself, I had direct contact and conversations across multiple different channels and streams with the government, and they would literally say the words, those waxes, those spray tanners. And I'm going, no, 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 we are so much more than that. We're aesthetic and non-invasive, and, you know, we're changing lives and changing skills, and, you know, we're helping contribute to the lack of anxiety, and we're helping diminish depression. And they just didn't really understand that. So that was kind of what was, from a client's point of view, about our industry, which is really interesting, because sometimes as business owners, we don't often wear the hat of the client, and so we forget how that feels to be a client. We know our services are essential. However, external perspective doesn't always align with that, and we definitely saw that. From our business point of view, a lot of businesses had just been operating on cash flow, which is great that our industry can provide such a turnover of cash flow. But what we do know is that we didn't have enough saved up for a rainy day or for a global pandemic to hit. So I was talking to a lot of business owners when we very, very first got closed down in March. And they were saying to me, Tamara, my therapists are coming to me now, and they have so generously volunteered to take their 4 or 6 or 8 weeks of annual leave. But I don't have the money. I don't have the money to pay that annual leave. And so my question back to them was, even if we didn't have this pandemic, if your team came to you and said, I want to take this amount of annual leave, you would still be in the same position, right? So we were running on cash flow, we were running on week-to-week revenue coming in, and that has really hindered us. And I think that's a huge lesson that a lot of business owners have learned during this pandemic, is that we need to be a little bit more savvy with our rainy day fund and be preparing for our team and for all of the expenses, the rent, the overheads, the machines. None of these payments stopped during a pandemic. We were lucky for some people to get 50% off rent, for example, or to be able to negotiate with suppliers. But realistically, business and money kept on ticking over. So that's what was prior to the pandemic. We had really little understanding of projections and preparations. And I know this to be true because in our industry, majority of us have gone from therapist, to manager, to business owner. And along the course, we haven't really excelled our skills in terms of our marketing hat, in terms of our financial hat, in terms of our profitability hat, in terms of our advertising hat. So we have just been expected somehow to go from performing a trade and a practical skill into management, which encompasses leadership, which is one of the most difficult things to learn. But if you are constantly in the business, which providing a service requires, then you're not working on the business. So a lot of people were saying to me when that first initial closure happened, Tamara, how long should I predict for my business to be closed? And I was saying to them, if I was in your shoes and if I had a bricks and mortar space, I would be having 3 different plans, a 3-month plan, a 6-month plan, and a 12-month plan. And then that way, along the way, if any of those happen, you know how to pick your business up and you know how to prepare for that and you know your action plan. But prior to that, we had never thought about having any of these plans. We'd never really asked the question, what if my business has to close overnight? What if I can't service my clients? So I think that's been a huge lesson for us, that we have had to learn through this pandemic. Also, prior to the pandemic, therapists only saw themselves as people who could trade time and money for a physical service, which really limited us. It really did. We only thought that we could provide a service to clients who were in our immediate space and in our immediate treatment rooms, which we now know is not true, right? So instead of servicing, if you had 4 treatment rooms and 4 therapists, instead of servicing 4 clients, we can now service many more, which is exciting. We know that it's not only our hands that provides the magic, but it's the connection, it's the conversation, it's the prescription, it's everything around that service that makes the service magic. The service is only 30% of it. There's 70% of the service which happens outside of the treatment room. So this is quite exciting. So while we've learned some pretty hard lessons, our industry has proved itself. Our industry has changed perception in the mind of our clients, because our clients have realized, hey, I am stressed, I am getting inflammation, I am not eating well, I am not moving enough, and I need a treatment. That comes in the form of a skin treatment. That comes in the form of downtime. It's about being mindful. So all of a sudden, the perception from our clients has actually shifted, because they've realized just how important our services are, which is a great place to be in. And we can see by the amount of phone calls that are coming through from all of the businesses opening and the wait list that we are definitely needed, which is fantastic. This pandemic has also shown us that going to a beauty or aesthetic or skin or spa space is time well spent, and that it's not a treatment. It shouldn't be a luxury. It should be something that is ingrained in us. And that's actually why our name is Beauté Industrie as a company, because that's what the French have always been doing. That's what they've always thought of. They've always had treatments. It's never been about having a luxury. Yes, there's the beret. It's never been about a luxury treatment. It's been about maintenance. And that is exciting that our clients are now realizing this. Also, as well, we have realized, our clients have realized, that the way our skin responds, our gut health responds, the way we behaviorally respond reactively or responsively is through the way that we treat ourselves. So we know when we haven't been looking after ourselves, look at this cat, when we haven't been looking after ourselves, when we have just been consuming a little too much alcohol or consuming a little bit too much media or Netflix, for example, that our skin goes crazy. And that's where that maskne trend has come on board. So our industry has really proven itself, not only to us, but to our clients, which is the most important. For our businesses, well, we have seen that our industry is pandemic proof. We knew it was recession proof, but we didn't know that it was pandemic proof until it came and it hit us, right? So it is very exciting. Yes, 1 in 5 businesses have closed. That's a hard statistic to hear, 1 in 5. If we had 5 people in the room, perhaps that was one of your businesses, which is very, very scary. But it's given us the space and the time to breathe and to work out what was working and what was not working. And a lot of those 1 in 5 businesses actually took a step back and said, do you know what? This isn't for me anymore. But I've been running along the hamster wheel with my head in the sand for so long that I've never had the space to have a holiday or to sit for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or however long that has been. So it's actually been quite a good eye-opener for a lot of our businesses to decide whether they want to continue on in our industry or not. We've also seen the great shift now in talks to government, which is not an overnight process. It is going to happen further down the line, but that beauty and personal care has amalgamated with the aesthetic and allied health industry. Prior to, the government did not realize, and this will blow your mind, that we use PPE in treatments, that we use gloves, that we have part of our protocols, sanitization and sterilization. They literally thought that we could be grouped in with hairdressers and just, you know, go about doing a trade and not take names and numbers and not be able to contract trace our clients. So it's actually shifted our entire industry into an allied health sector, which is much more aligned with the treatments that we are doing and definitely the treatments that we'll see in the future. So lots and lots we can take away from the 2020 year when we actually have the time to sit and breathe and look back at it. So I hope that gives you some things to ponder on there. So I'm going to touch base on some 2021 trends and beyond this year or next year. And I've covered them off in 3 separate sections because I know business owners always want to know the next product line or know the next technology. And so we will definitely start there first because I'm pretty sure that's where you're itching to go. But I also would love to touch base on trends of your business. What is going to happen to your business in our industry in the coming years? And to cope with those trends, what do your people need around them in terms of a skill to be able to uphold and build the scaffolding for the operations? And I say this for 2 different reasons. Number one, a lot of people, and this happens in our Facebook community, a lot of people say, I'm looking for, let's just say, an LED machine. And my immediate thought is, why? Why are you looking for an LED machine? And generally the answer back to me is, I'm looking for it because I think my business needs it. And I say, okay, so do you think your business needs it, but do your clients demand it? Does your business operations support it? And then do your team have the skill set to market and advertise and perform that treatment? And generally, all of these latter questions are things that the business owner doesn't ask. And then the LED machine sits in the corner of the treatment room, not being used, getting dusty. Correct? Have we all been there? Have we all seen this? So I'm going to talk about technology and services, but I want to back that up with some operational things that you're going to need to build up in the back end to house that scaffolding, and then also the skill set that you need as well. So hopefully you'll come along with me on this journey today. So I'm going to start where you all want to go, and that is technology and services. So first things first, what we have all seen over the pandemic is the trend of connection and disconnection. So we have been more disconnected personally than we ever have been before. And I bet, especially if you ask Melburnians right now, what's the first thing you want to do when you get out of lockdown? It's not look at my phone or go to an internet cafe or spend time on my computer. It's the fact that they want to disconnect from all of that and they want to reconnect with the people around them. That's why we're seeing our beauty spaces booked up. That's why we're seeing restaurants booked up. That's why we're seeing 7 a.m. this morning, everyone in Melbourne was back at the gym because they're craving that connection because we've been disconnected for such a long time. Now, I don't know about you, but over the weekend, my iPhone updated itself. And this is not a plug for iPhone, but it updated itself. And it actually is encouraging me to spend less time on my device. Isn't that crazy? Think about that. A device company has updated their technology over the weekend so that I spend less time on my device. Because from Apple, from the very beginning, it was never about the phone. What did they sell? They sold connection. Connect through your friends through these apps. Talk to your friends, FaceTime your friends. Use all of these apps to get better connection with them. However, with the apps came advertising, marketing, push notifications equals disconnection. So from a business point of view, Apple's going, hang on. We got a little bit carried away along this train that we were going on, and we actually want to pull back on that. So they've introduced things like do not disturb settings. They've introduced dark light reading, so you can set your bedtime. If you set your bedtime for 9:30 like a grandma like me, you can actually do not disturb from 8:30 or from 9 p.m. onwards, so you don't get pings and calls, and then it do not disturbs the whole night. Whereas prior to this, you would get notifications, you would wake up a few times, you would check your clock on the phone, see a notification, or quickly open that email. It's 5 a.m. in the morning, might as well respond back to it, right? So this is that connection through disconnection. So for us, how do we then bring this trend of an iPhone or from technology into our businesses? Well, we want to promote the disconnection from devices into our businesses. And how do we do that? Well, no phones in the lounge area, no phones during treatments. Instead of a client coming in, taking a photo of the bed or filming themselves while they're getting a massage, closing their eyes, pretending that they're sleeping, let's actually disconnect. No phones in the treatment room. And what does that mean for us on a skin level? Well, it means cortisol levels lower. It means that we are going to get faster results with our treatments. Therefore, our clients are spending less money, less time, right? Better results for us equals better reviews for our clients. We can upgrade them to different services and different technology. But at the same time, there's a very fine line, because your messaging needs to be connecting on these platforms. And I'm sure you've all seen this over the last couple of months, is that if you weren't online, then you couldn't connect with your clients because you couldn't connect with them in person. So it kind of comes around in a roundabout circle. We've got to connect with our clients and let them know that this is what we're offering. We're offering disconnection. And then when they're in our space, we disconnect them. And there's actually a skin clinic down the road from me. And it says, it has A-frame easel board out the front, and it says free 30-minute naps with every LED purchase. How brilliant is that? I'm sure you've seen this before, right? A free nap with an LED purchase. And that's what I'm talking about. It's the disconnect to connect. We're encouraging them to come into our business and have a little sleep on the bed for 30 minutes. But P.S., the outcome of that is that they're spending, we're connecting with them, they're back into our space, and they're getting all of these incredible skin results. So I want you to ask yourself, when you're looking at that connection, disconnection, how can your business be online yet promote an offline connection? And that's the hardest question to ask yourself. The second to that is simplified skincare. So we, as a client point of view, a client has been sitting at home for this whole amount of time. They are so excited to get back out there. So do you think the first thing they want to do before they head out to a picnic with their friends is do a 24-step skincare regime? No. Do they want to do that at nighttime when they're eating and drinking and having a beautiful conversation with their family and their friends? No. So the premise of your technology and your services moving into 2021 is to simplify it. Simplify it right down to basics. And this does not mean less products is more at all. But what it does mean is giving your clients the right products at the right time. So for example, you might have multifunctional products, and multifunctional products are the way forward. They're products that do a few different things in one step. For example, you might have an exfoliating cleanser. You might have a priming moisturizer. You might have an antioxidant SPF. So you're getting 2 or 3 different benefits, and that's the multifunctional part, into your products. And that is going to help speed up your clients' at-home routine of a morning and also of a nighttime. And when you're looking at these products, I want you to have a think about who are the brands who are speaking directly to your clients. And this again is coming back to questions that are asked in my community a lot. What kind of products should I stock in my salon? And I say, well, what kind of products are your clients looking for? What kind of concerns do your clients have? Instead of actually just stocking the most popular brand who's out there all the time, talking on all of the platforms. We need to be listening to our clients. So if your clients are coming in purely for anti-aging concerns, then you want to be sure that the product company you're talking about talks to that client. It's talking to the 30 plus. It's marketing and messaging to them. It has active ingredients and treatments and services that are going to cater to that client. Again, if you're treating predominantly acne, teen skin, then your messaging needs to be funky. It needs to be young. It needs to be youthful. They're the kind of treatments you need to be servicing in your space. So again, it's about finding these like-minded people who are talking to your clients and then finding out what is important to your clients rather than just what do we want in our business. What do our clients actually want? What are they asking for? And then go forth and find the brands and then go forth and marry your values. Really, really important. Lastly, in our technology and services trends is overcoming geographical limitations. Now, this sounds like a whole mouthful of alien talk. However, all it really is what we've been doing during this pandemic, offering online consultations. Yeah. We realize that it's not just the service in the way that we can actually help our clients. We have realized that it's through connection, it's through conversation, it's through picking up the phone and saying, how are you, without expecting to make a sale on the end. And it's through picking up that phone and connecting with people around us just for the pure sake of having that connection without agenda that's actually helped us expand our businesses. So I want you to utilize digital to start expanding your businesses and to connect with more clients. If you can't do a consultation in person because your treatment rooms are so heavily booked, as are your appointment books, then maybe you've got a column that actually allows all day for a therapist or a couple of different therapists to service online clients. Have that conversation with them. Are you doing feedback calls? Are you doing follow-up calls? Asking your client who was in 2 weeks ago how their skin's going, how it's functioning, if they noticed that they were less stressed, did they have a better sleep after their treatment? All of this is going to be able to expand your business reach. No longer do you just serve 5K or 10K outside of where your business is, but you can service much bigger realms of clients. And I know this to be true because there's a beautiful business in Brunswick of Melbourne who was doing Zoom calls with people in Perth, who was doing, online consultations with people in Tasmania, just because she was really active on digital and said, I've got this service open. And so she built up that presence, she built up that trust and awareness, and people came to her. So it's no longer just who can walk into our business. It's about how can we reach the people without actually having a bigger space, without having more of a team, but we can increase our clientele. So I think what 2020 has shown us as an industry altogether, it's that we should not be afraid of technology, which prior to that, I know a lot of businesses were saying, I don't want to move my services online, or my clients aren't on social media or Facebook. However, we very much know that they are. So this is where we should be spending our time and encouraging that disconnection through connection as well. How are we feeling there on the technology and services? I haven't gone too left of brain for you?
You're doing really well.
Excellent.
Really interesting.
So then if we have a think about beauty to disconnect to connect, we have a think about the multifunctional and simplified skincare, and we also have a think about expanding our reach for our clients. How do we do that from an operational point of view? Because it's all good and well to go, okay, well, Tamara told me that I need a multifunctional skincare brand. I'm going to go find them. But what does that actually mean for your business? So in terms of operations, I know one thing that a lot of people, well, that stopped a lot of people was not having the plan, but now you do. Now you have a plan. You've now gone through the pandemic. You're now currently going through the recession. So you now know if this were to ever come up, how you would move forward. So I'd love you to ask yourself, and I can send this through to you, Frank, if you'd like to distribute it at a later date. But this is a nice little strategy session to sit down and do with your team and with yourself if you don't have a team, or with your product house if they're your closest people, and actually answer these questions and start getting those thoughts out there. So what lessons did this pandemic teach you? Did it teach you that you didn't have enough stock because you pivoted straight into doing online consultations? Did it teach you that you had too many team members on and you actually couldn't support their wage the entire time? Did it teach you that maybe you should have negotiated your lease a little bit further back when you first signed it, because you've been pushing it and now this is hit and we won't be able to support that? But I also want you to take a look at, what did you do really well during this pandemic? Maybe you did sit and reflect. Maybe you worked on the marketing of your business. Maybe you opened a social media platform and you've been putting yourself out there. Perhaps you just stayed sane, and that's more than enough to do as well. What could you have done better? So what did I do good, but I probably could have done a little bit better? Perhaps you connected with your clients at the start when March, April, May hit, and then maybe we teed it off. We got a little bit lazy, too much chocolate, wine, and Netflix. And then we actually didn't communicate. Oh, hang on, no, we're going to open. How can I communicate this? So what did you do well, but you could have done better? And then an interesting question, what would you do differently next time? And I've asked this of a few people who I've spoken to. If it was January 1st, 2020, again, tomorrow, knowing all that you know, what would you do differently? And I think that's where the magic happens, because that's where you can put that into your pandemic and recession strategy for next time. Hopefully there is no next time, crossing fingers, but should there be one, you know how to handle it, which is all the power in your hands, right? So the good thing about the future is that you are going to be able to hire better staff, which I can hear every single business owner yipping, because I know you're all trying to frantically find staff now. But we've got to have a think about this, is that, as I mentioned before, 1 in 5 businesses have closed down during this pandemic. That 1 in 5 businesses was a business owner who was a therapist, who's now not a business owner. So what's she going to be back again? A therapist. Where's she going to be a therapist? In your business, right? So she's had business owner and management and leadership and financial understanding, knowledge from being a business owner, plus she must be the best damn therapist ever because she's running her own business, back into the workforce. How exciting is that? Yes, it's dreadfully sad that their business closed, but it might have closed for a number of different reasons. So now they're back into the workforce. So this elevates the level of therapists that we can actually employ in our business. Maybe we're getting a 2IC where we've never had one before, or maybe we're getting an in-clinic trainer. Maybe we can start progressing this person who we can learn so much from on our team. How special is that? It's also showing us therapists who weren't invested in the industry who have left. And I know this to be true. When it all hit the fan in March, April, and May, and therapists went, do you know what? I really have loved not doing treatments. I have not done a treatment for 3 months and I love it. I actually hate doing pedicures. And those therapists have now moved out of the industry, which is fantastic for us, because who wants a treatment from a therapist who doesn't like performing that treatment? Nobody, right? You don't want to employ somebody who doesn't like doing that treatment. So those therapists have left. Therapists who were a pre-therapist, they were considering coming into the industry, have gone, oh, beauty and aesthetics were the first industry to close, the last industry to open. Maybe I don't want to go into that section of the workforce. But the therapists who are going, do you know what? I've still got a niggle. I've still got an itch. Though they were the first to close and the last to open, I know I can provide a great treatment. They're coming into the industry So again, it's leveling up our entire industry landscape, which is very, very exciting space to be. And we've actually seen that these therapists who are excited and passionate are coming into beauty sooner. The beauty schools and dermal schools are so heavily booked out, it's actually bananas at the moment, which is fantastic, because snap them up, get them into your businesses, teach them through the leadership that you now have what a true business owner looks like. So very, very exciting. And obviously demand from a therapist point of view for being employed in a business which is stable is something that's been front of mind. Prior to the pandemic, a therapist would open up a recruitment platform and they would click apply and bulk apply for 10 or 20 different jobs, right? Now, did they actually want to work in any one of those spaces specifically because of the values, because of the operations, because of the treatments? Probably not. They just wanted a job, right? Whereas now they're going, actually, I've seen beauty industry day spa, I've seen these people, how they showed up, how they presented, how they handled the pandemic. I want to work with them. So they're willing to go out there, willing to put themselves out a little bit further to work with the right people, which is a fantastic place to be in when we're recruiting in our businesses. Very, very exciting. The third one on that, which I'm hoping already, if you haven't changed, it will change, and that's your pricing model. Because we have realized that to do an eyebrow wax for $22 is not enough. It's not enough in our business anymore. And only has this pandemic given us the space to sit and reflect and pause and go, oh my goodness, how was I doing $22, 4 clients an hour? It's pretty much $80 an hour. It's not really covering my overheads, right? And again, I think that has given us that space to realize what our overheads are. And to actually show, now we've needed increased PPE. We have to have all these different masks. We have to have disposable cups and more sanitization and sterilization, sprays and cloths and things like that. That adds on to our bottom line. And so people were asking in our community, should I charge a $5 COVID tax? You know, should I charge this tax? And I'm saying, well, actually work out what that treatment costs you to run, what increase of revenue you would want on that, what kind of profit looks like from that, then add on your COVID tax from there. Let's not just say, I'm going to increase my prices for the sake of increasing prices, but do it a little bit more strategically. So what we once thought was profitable, we've realized has actually not been so profitable. So really, really important for us to step back. And if you don't know your overheads, that's not a problem at all. I failed year 10 maths, so don't worry, I'm shocking with my prices as well. Hence why I have an accountant. So get an accountant who is good at the maths. They couldn't provide treatment, but we can. So don't worry, everyone's good and bad at things. And they will help you get those overheads. And that's a conversation I have loved encouraging in our community. Somebody actually said on a thread of ours the other day, Tamara, I haven't put my prices up in 22 years. 22 years. Can you imagine that? Would you work for somebody for 22 years and stay on the same wage? I know I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't even stay on the same wage for 3 years, let alone 22 years. So you've got to value yourself. And that's what's really excited me, is that we've taken the control back into our hands. Further to that, we have to have a look at how we've been operating our business. Again, if you're going to introduce new technology or new treatments or new services or products into your business, that's your time, that's your expertise, that's your knowledge. You have to have deposits and you have to have cancellation metrics put in around this, especially because we are so heavily in demand right now. If your client has booked a $200 treatment, for example, and you're banking on that income to come in because we have not had income for such a period of time, and then they cancel last minute and we can't fill that spot, that's where that cancellation deposit saves us. It saves us because we can pay the therapist for that hour. It saves us because we can turn the lights on for that hour, right? So all of these little tiny operational things are how we're going to be able to better help give us those trends and validate those trends moving forward. Otherwise, if we don't start charging for deposits and cancellations, we just aren't going to have the money or the time to be able to invest in new equipment and invest in new trends that we see moving forward as an exciting cohort of the industry. Last to that, we need to understand our inner community. And again, coming back to trends, which suppliers were there for you during this time? So I have seen a lot of commentary in different threads about businesses and brands who weren't there. Even I was chatting to somebody last month. She hasn't spoken to a business development manager or account manager from this specific brand in the whole time that they've been closed. Can you believe that? Not one email, not one phone call. So where we're looking at trends and we're looking at exciting technology and products to bring into our business, I want you to ask yourself, what have your suppliers done for you? You know, are we having beautiful conferences like this from the incredible team here? Have they supported you? Have they connected with you? Have they gone above and beyond? Because mediocre or average moving forward from 2020 is not what we're going to settle for. We want exceptional. And again, you might ask this of you, and this is going a little bit personal, but who are your friends and your family who have supported you? Who are your industry colleagues and bodies who have been there for you? You know, these are the people who we want to surround ourselves with to help us move forward in the future. So I hope those questions have given you lots to think about there. And as I said, you know, you might want to print this off and just sit with yourself or your team for an hour and just ask these questions and brainstorm. It's always quite a nice thing that I like personally doing with my team, which we'll be doing at the end of the year. So just to come on to skill set. So now that we know the trends and we know the way of future, we know the operations and what we have to do to be able to build the scaffolding to bring new products and services into our businesses. What do you and your people have to do to now have these operations move smoothly? Well, from a management point of view, you need emotional intelligence. And this is not intellectual intelligence. You don't need to know algebra or the whole, you know, all of these kind of really smart intellectual things. As you can tell, I don't. But it's about emotional intelligence. It's being about reading the people in your space. It's knowing when your therapist walks in or when a client walks in that something's not quite right and we need to have a quick debrief about it. Yeah, it's forecasting that, you know, maybe we can't pay the wages this week because we're, you know, slowing down on our turnover of clients, or we haven't had a new client in a while. Well, then what are you going to emotionally intelligently do to increase that clientele? It's about that foresight. Second to that is how you respond in high stress situations. And it's about how resilient you can be. So we know that everyone can weather the storm. Everyone can stand out in the rain, in the hail, get wet. They're pretty resilient. But for how long the storm goes for, that shows resilience. So we saw people getting excited, pivoting during the pandemic, changing their businesses to online. Within the first 3 months, they could resist it and showed resilience rather for 6 months. However, we started getting a little bit reactive and responsive when it happens for 7 or 9 months, right? So it's that fact that you've got to be resistant the whole time. And as Frank so kindly said, for us, this is what I've always done. I've always been able to weather the storm. And so I've hoped that that calmness and that clarity and that resilience has shown off on our industry and our community as well. And that comes down to self-management. So I'm sure you can see just in the corner here, I've got a little yellow sticky note and the word says on there, considered. So for me, my self-management is before I do anything, I consider it heavily. I never make responsive or reactive decisions. It's always slept on and it's considered before responding. And I think that's been a real key skill set that we as managers and leaders in our businesses, regardless whether you've got teams or not, because guess what? Your clients are also watching how you're managing and leading the team. But that's been a huge part, is self-management. How do you cope when you need to manage your business? Fourth to that is creativity. So getting online, doing beautiful Zoom calls. Obviously, you know, the Vital Plus team can't have conferences, but they're moving into online spaces. They're doing these future beauty sessions, getting creative with what you can actually do. And that's what you can do with your clients. I saw a lot of people doing mini at-home DIY facial kits and, you know, calling clients. And that kind of creativity is just groundbreaking because it's something new. It entices your clients. And further to that, if you do have a team, connecting with them and making sure that you're communicating with them and checking in. So from a therapist point of view, and if you're an owner operator, you've got to be both of these things, right? Because you're wearing both of the hats. But from a therapist point of view, customer service, communication, marketing, again, it's got to be exceptional. We have spent too long in our houses and not performing treatments to have an average treatment. If we are going, and if our clients are going to spend money, which we all know people have been on JobKeeper and JobSeeker and not had a lot of money, if they actually come to us and choose to trust us and spend with us, well, then we have to provide an exceptional service. It can't be average. It can't be mediocre anymore. With that, we've got to think critically. We've got to solve problems. We've got to think for our clients. If we have a client whose face is full of maskne and they are using every product under the sun, well, then what else can we do for them? Do we need to look internally? Do we need to ask other questions? How are they removing their makeup? What makeup are they using? So from a therapist point of view, it's not a linear pathway in treating skin, certainly in treating inflammation, which we're seeing right now a lot of. It's actually about thinking outside of the square, thinking off the consultation card, and actually asking a client a lot of questions. From that obviously comes your learning agility. So using the time, the downtime, probably not now, you might not have downtime because you're crazy, crazy busy out there in silly season and Christmas coming up, but using that to upskill and upskill in many different ways. You know, we have a lot of product knowledge sessions in our industry, but we need to dig deeper than that. What are the ingredients we're learning about in the product knowledge? Where does this ingredient come from? Who trialed it? Who tested it? How does it actually work within the skin? These are really important questions that we need to be asking as therapists. And finite to that is just foundation skills of speaking, writing, communicating, and listening, because we have spent a lot of time not talking during the pandemic, or only talking to people in our immediate space, that when we get out there back into the treatment rooms, it's going to be very easy to talk to our clients too much and not listen to them enough. So really, really important to listen to what they're saying to you. If they are saying to you that they've just had 7 or 6 or 9 months of not eating well, of being highly strung, emotionally stressed, financially stripped, well, then it's no wonder that their skin is responding with inflammatory dermatitis or eczema or psoriasis or the otherwise. So actually think and listen to your clients is a huge skill set. So I hope that has helped take you through some trends. I know it's probably not a typical trend session, but for me, I always like to go a little bit further down the psychology of why we're just going to be looking at a product or a technology, and understand if our business operations and if our people and ourselves can actually hold the scaffolding to be able to introduce the new trends and the new technology. So I'd love to open it up if you have any questions, thoughts, or feelings.
Thank you so much, Tamara. There's a lot of gem in that. From the very beginning, when you talked about the journey that a therapist has to take from being a therapist to becoming a business owner, learning leadership skills, marketing, becoming a marketing guru, having a visionary mindset, and learning about accounting and bookkeeping. Even though you're not an accountant, you still need to consider cash flow and all of these things. I love when you said disconnect to connect. That really sort of made me think of so many things that beauty salons could do to really emphasize that message. And I think that would be very powerful. So thank you for that. And thinking about a multifunctional product, a product that speaks to your specific clientele, I think that's a no-brainer. You know, you don't just take a product just because all the salons have them. Just think about what you're doing and view your clients. And the geographical limitation that's no longer existing. You know, we can reach out to so many people, and through, you know, like through the technology, when we expand our services using things like consultation online, what we found when we were working with our clients is that they were finding out things that they didn't even know. These regular clients, like they were asking their clients, let me see your bathroom. What's in your cabinet? And they'd be showing them these things that they have, and then, why are you using that? How old is this cream? You know, these things don't happen in a salon environment. So there's a lot of advantages, a lot of things that you can do that really give you another dimension. And that list of questions you had, I love it. You must forward me that list. I think, you know, great questions are always the secret, and those are really wonderful. And to do that with your team, a great way to sort of start thinking of. I think that one time you mentioned about that there's going to be a lot of beauty therapists who were business owners and who are now on the market to be hired. And that's something that happened to us, not actually a beauty therapist. We'd recently hired someone to look after accounts. And we put an ad on Seek, but she came to us not through the ad. She just came to us because she saw us, she saw our presence, and she wanted to join our team. And because of that, you know, we saw in her this spark, this specialness, and we're so happy that she's been with us like for 2 months now, and you can really feel the difference of someone who's owned a business, who understands all the things that happen within a business. It makes it like, you know, a gem of a team member, because, you know, you can only do one, you know, you only have 2 hands. You have to build a team, a great team, and that's how your business can expand. So if anyone is interested to know more about Vital Plus and what we do and how we can also help you, because we're, you know, that journey that Tamara talked about, from becoming a beauty therapist to a business owner, this is something that we think a lot about. You know, what are the skill sets that therapists needs to have, other than knowing how to perform a really good facial or a really good treatment. She needs a lot of other skill sets, and that's really important to have someone that can support you in that. And that's definitely something we love doing. So please don't hesitate to join our closed group, and you can also discuss some of the things that you are really on your mind, and we're always here to help you. So Tamara, any last words?
Oh, just thank you so much for having me, and thank you as well. You know, it's been really difficult for therapists and managers and business owners, but I think a lot of the hardship has been directed at those 3 people, but it's been really difficult for brands as well, because when their business is closed, your business is also closed. Right. So you've had to do all of the things that we've just spoken about as well. So my hat goes off to you, and I thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And everyone, remember to dream with ambition and to lead with conviction. Thank you for joining us. Bye.